orientation for the pilot iteration of the SEO Tech Developer. So it's great to have all of you here. We're so pleased that you applied, kind of shared with us a bit of your background and your interest for what we hope to be the first of many instances of this approach of helping existing computer science and computer engineering and other tech majors really prepare themselves to be highly competitive candidates for whatever kind of job they want in the tech industry upon graduation. So that's kind of what we're about. I'm going to begin though. Let me tell you a little bit about SEO. You likely all studied this, right? Because you did your homework, you saw on the website. So I'm going to repeat for you what you've already studied, right? I hope. But anyway, SEO, not-for-profit organization, started in 1963. So we're almost 60 years old as an organization at this point. And we were started really in the height of what people refer to as the civil rights movement, right? So the aim then, as it is now, is to create a more equitable society. Our focus is on expanding opportunities, and nowadays that's particularly concentrated on Black, Latinx, and Native American individuals, and it's across a number of areas and fields. We have 4 principal programs that we're known for. The founding program of SEO is called SEO Scholars, and that program only operates in New York and San Francisco. And what the current iteration of that program started in 2006 is we work with lower income students who are attending New York City and San Francisco public schools. And we basically run a 6-day school for them with our own teachers, own curricula, while they're in high school. So they actually have 720 additional hours of English and math instruction with us and our, again, teachers and curricula on Saturdays, after school, and during summers in order to compensate for the inferior education they're receiving in urban public schools, right? And what's very much kind of in keeping with SEO, and it's across all of our programs, is we note about the Scholars Program, we're not a dropout prevention program, right? What we do is we look for strengths in communities of color and we invest in those strengths. And our view is to create a more equitable society is that you really, as much as people actually focus on those who are most at risk in our communities, but it's equally important to invest in the strengths if we want to truly transform the outcomes in this country and to bring about a more equitable society. So our Scholars Program, again, it's not a dropout prevention program. Matter of fact, kids got to come 6 days a week to school, right? So they go to school regularly 5 days a week, and then they come with us on Saturdays from 8:45 to 4:30, 3 Saturdays a month normally, pre-COVID, as well as after school once a week for 2 hours, and then 4.5 weeks during the summer, 8:45 to 4:30. And there are things that go with it. We get them into great colleges, and we'll actually get 90% of the students who complete the high school part and go into the college part of Scholars, we'll get 90% of those out with a bachelor's degree. And that compares to if you took kids with quote unquote SAT score equivalents from the same local backgrounds, about 20 to 21% would graduate college in 8 years. So we'll get 90% out in 6 years, right? And that's an example, again, playing and strengthening resources that are in our communities, giving them additional resources to go higher than they could have gone otherwise. We run an internship program, which you may be familiar with, called SEO Career. That program is a nationwide program. We meet those students as undergraduates. It's not a pipeline from our Scholars Program to that program. We recruit nationally for that program. We'll get 5,000 to 6,000 applicants a year. You need a 3.2 GPA traditionally to apply to that program. And this summer, we actually have 800 interns in internships in maybe 30 cities around the country with 190 different firms. We're very well known for investment banking, but we also place students. We got about 50 plus students in tech firms around and tech roles around the country as well. Traditionally, most years, 80% of our rising seniors, meaning people who are doing the internship between junior and senior year that summer, 80% will get a full-time offer. This past summer in 2020, we had our own, I'd call COVID spike. Actually, 88% got full-time offers. So we're very focused on getting full-time offers again. We're looking at how do we take people who are already kind of focused in school, how can we help them get to even a higher level in terms of highly remunerative careers? We have a program called SEO Law, basically focused on folks going to top law schools. How do we really propel them to get into great law firms as well as to do really well in that first year of law school? Again, seeing how their income will grow over time as a result of that intervention. And we have a program in alternative investments. which really is about getting people who are heading to investment banking, how do we get into private equity, et cetera. But all of this is aimed at how do we look at the existing strengths in communities of color, and how do we invest in those strengths and give people what they need to get to the highest aspirations they might have professionally. Our basic approach is reverse engineering the outcome. So we go to our partners, just as we're doing here with SEO Tech. What does a top candidate look like? What can they do? What do they know? What have they got down strongly? And then we look and say, okay, let's find talented individuals who are willing to work extra hard and expose them to that knowledge, that practice that will get them to that being camera ready when recruiting comes around for summer internships or whatever the case may be, so that they can meet the existing standards. And that really is where the SEO Tech developer comes in. And so in the same kind of approach, what's somewhat, I would say, different about it is that where so many companies, and we're not criticizing it in its essence, so many companies are looking at how do we get more sixth graders and ninth graders, right, and eighth graders involved in tech. Very important to do. We do it with our own scholars kids. In 10th grade, this summer, for instance, they'll spend a week doing coding, right? But we also want to point out to the corporate world, there's a tremendous amount of talent already who are computer science majors, Black and Brown, Latinx, and Native American individuals who already have run the gauntlet to get there, right? You've got into college, you've taken a difficult major, you're applying your trade there. Well, invest in this group, not only in sixth graders who 15 years from now might be of value to you as a company, but take advantage of the talent that is already there. And very often we know a basic theme of SEO is talent is broadly distributed, but unevenly developed, right? So talent is everywhere. The way that very often it's approached, unfortunately, ignores that fact because people haven't had the same access, the same opportunity to develop their talent. And then people simply judge them, not taking into account the difference of an exposure and opportunity. And so our aim is, okay, let's find people who are driven, talented, want to get to the next level, craft something based on what we know the expert tell us that they are looking for in terms of hiring talent for the best jobs, the best paying jobs, and where you have the most choices, right? And then kind of reverse engineer getting you to that. So that's what the tech developer is about. Oddly enough, it's somewhat of a novel approach because we're focusing on folks who are already there and saying, let's invest more. Because we realize that most Black, Latinx, and Native American folks didn't begin programming in 8th grade. Right? It's not when they began programming, right? Most of our folks, many of our folks, it's when they got to college. Doesn't mean they're not able. They just haven't had the exposure and the reps, right, to make this stuff second nature. So when they get into these competitive processes for internships, et cetera, that would enable them to excel. So that's what we're looking to do here. We're so happy to have you as part of this. It's a great class. We want you to, become resources from one another. You're going to see during not only the pre-work, but the later work of how we're going to be looking for you guys to support one another, learn from one another. SEO is a family, and you'll see people who come through SEO's programs 20 years later. If you say I'm an SEO alum, someone's going to pick up the phone, respond to your email, because it really is about a mission, as we like to say. It's not about you. It's about those who came before you and those who come after you. And that's what we look, that's the spirit of what we do. We put our time in and raise the money, all privately funded, right? We raise the money to try and make other people successful because we believe that you too will care about more than just yourself, right? Affect your family, your neighbors, et cetera, as you help lift up our communities, right? So this is a long haul game, not happening overnight, but we want to invest in you to strengthen our communities, help you get there, fulfill your dreams, and then help lift other people in the course of doing that. So with that, I may have forgotten to say something. I'll tell you this. We got about 135 full-time employees, another 200 plus other part-time staff, $35 million annual budget, board comprised of some pretty notable individuals. Our board chair is a guy named Henry Kravis, for those who are familiar with private equity. It's kind of a legendary figure. And altogether, we serve about 5,000 students a year now. So it's a wonderful thing, and it's very gratifying for us. So with that, I'm going to introduce, I'm going to introduce you to our wonderful colleagues who helped to make this happen. Everybody's been busting their tail here for many months trying to get us to this moment. So, and I'll just begin by first noting Elise Dietrich. And Elise is the Vice President for Products and Partnerships, but she's also, besides having a doctorate in computer science stuff, but she's also kind of the brains behind the curriculum that's been developed and been such a great guide to us, and responsive and patient, and helps us novices kind of get through some of the questions that come to our minds when we're thinking about how do we fill these gaps. And then I will introduce you also to Samantha Roy. That means the same name on the record, like 2 years, 3 years, or whatever it is now. And I knew I was going to mess up her last name potentially, Roa, but anyway, Sam, who is our program manager for this and efforts in our SEO Leadership Institute, which I didn't talk about, but that's a new initiative, new program, and tremendous potential with it as well. And hopefully that will help you grow your careers. And Nikki Suska, who's a senior project coordinator and kind of also worked with me on a variety of things related to this and others. And so what I would say, by the way, is that both Sam, who's been with me on this project about 1.5 years, maybe longer, whatever it is, and Nikki, really, I'm very thankful the time and effort they put in to make this thing a reality. With that, I want to introduce our very fine colleague, Elise. Elise, it's yours.
Thank you. So hi, everyone. As Julian said, I'm Elise. I'm on Slack, so if you ever need anything, please feel free to ping me. We're going to be going over some Codio stuff. I think we missed the TA interns real fast, or the TAs.
Elise, I thought this would be a wonderful opportunity for you to introduce Jean and Stephanie.
Yeah, I'm looking at our thing. So actually, yes, let's go back, and I will not be the only one on Slack helping you. Please actually ping Jean and Stephanie first, unless it's a Codio issue.
And they're going to introduce Jean.
Yes. Very excited to be here with all of you. My name is Jean LeConte. I'm an engineer at Google, and I was actually a part of SEO myself when I was an undergraduate. So very excited to be with you and give back to the program that helped me get to where I am today.
And Stephanie.
Yes, hi, my name is Stephanie Charbon. I'll be the TA, but I also, I have a degree in computer science, and I've taught for various programs like Black Girls Code and PyLadies and a lot of different things like that. And I'm all about also diversity and equity and inclusion as well. And I love that that's partnered with computer science. So I want to get you to reach your goals as well.
Thank you both for being here. And you can see, like with Jean, right? See, this is the whole thing, right? It's like, hey, how do I, climb, but open the door, pull up the next one coming behind us. So we hope you will also embrace that ethos. Elise, thank you, and back to you.
All right, so we're actually going to do something together right now. I hope you have a computer with you, but there's actually some work that happens before you get to the summer residency. I've posted some instructions in Slack, but we're going to go over them together. You have a few week-long projects, so they don't need to be done today. They don't need to be done really at any given time, just when you have the time in your schedule. And every week on Monday, I will be releasing a new project for you for 3 weeks that you can start to brush up on your Python skills, work on some fun projects, really cool review of some of the things you might have learned in school, but in a very, very applied way. If you have done one of these projects, I'd love to know. I haven't run into them very much, but hopefully I'll see some really fun messages based on all the cool work you're doing, even just leading up to the summer residency program. So if you did the skills assessment when you applied to the tech developer program, you're already a little bit familiar with Codio. and have seen a screen that looks like this, we're actually going to be adding a course to your Codio account. If you do not have a Codio account, there is a link on the general thread in Slack, which you can follow, and it'll walk you through entering your email, your name, your password, and it'll enroll you in that course automatically. If you already have an account, what you're going to do is actually click on Join a Course on the left-hand side here. You're going to enter the token, which I've put in Slack as well. It's Data Queen. These are randomly generated. And so when you hit Join a Course, it's going to be like, are you sure you want to join pre-work? Yes. And you'll see this first project is broken up into smaller chunks. I did this because I don't expect you to sit down for, I don't know, hours and do this all at once. I kind of expect that you're all busy and you're going to pop in for an hour, go do something else, maybe once a day kind of thing. And so each of these are kind of their own bite-sized part of the project. There's some review material like how do you do CSV files in Python, lists, which is what Python calls arrays, basics as well as 2D, and then you get into making a bar chart. And finally, you can make a really cool bar chart racer, which you've probably seen on social media. And if bar chart racer doesn't really bring anything to mind, there's actually an example in there of a GIF. And you can pull any data you want for this. So when you make your really cool bar chart racer and these other projects that will appear every week, you'll see them kind of grouped in this little module. Post on social media, on Slack. We'd love to see what you're doing. And if you get stuck, there's two kinds of stuck. There's something looks legitimately wrong, like Codio is freaking out. You can, of course, reach me on Slack. You can also use our support chat. If you say something very specific to the assignment in support chat, I'm not gonna lie, they're probably gonna ping me and be like, this is one of your people. Can you figure out what they're talking about? So you might wind up talking to me anyway if you use support chat. Or you can always ping me in Slack. You shouldn't need to download anything in Codio. It's all browser-based. Chrome works best, but it works with any modern browser. It'll start you off with what you're learning. You'll be able to see on the right-hand side here, this little list. What are the different assignments? They're pretty short and sweet. This is your code editor, so you can try out what's actually happening. So in this example, I'm gonna copy paste and actually try it. And I can see it's actually pulling this information in from this CSV file. So it's not just reading or watching video passively. You should actively be doing stuff and things. This is none of the content you will see over the SEO Tech Developer Program. The pre-work, the summer residency is sit and passively receive. I hope that's not what all your classes are, but I have a CS degree, so I know better. But so really when you sit down to do this work, be ready to engage and try things out, and really try things, and you'll get instant feedback a lot of the times. Anytime you see a check it button, it's going to tell you if you're right or wrong. I think this is a wrong answer just from guessing. So I can see, oh, here's the right answer, and there's an explanation. So it's one of those things where the more you put into it and tinker and play around and really lean into the hands-on, the more you'll get out of it. If you ever are in an assignment and you need to leave, you can always just hit the C in the top left-hand corner to get back out. You can see if I've started something, I can click in progress to go back in there. I can see how many of the assessments I've answered, kind of basic stuff. Yeah, if you have any questions, it should be pretty self-paced and you should be able to follow along. We've tried to include a lot of auto-graded assessments so that you're never guessing whether you understood a concept or not. You should be getting that feedback. And as I said, if you have any questions about the content, the TAs would love to help you. And they are in the TA student help channel. So I know we've been talking in the general channel, the things that start with a hashtag. But if you want help on actual content, there's a dedicated TA student help channel you can ask, and we'll get you sorted. But I hope you have a lot of fun. And now I'm handing it off to Sam.
Yeah.
To talk about other expectations besides Slack and Codio.
Yeah. Thanks, Elise. So yes, I am Samantha Sam Roa Julian. Okay. So just to get started, first of all, welcome everyone. We're really excited that today is finally here for all of you to get started. So some of the expectations that we have from you for this is what we're calling the pre-work section. We expect for you to do about 6 to 8 hours a week working on your materials. It is self-guided, as we said, so there's no attendance needed, but we are going to be checking that you're on pace with the rest of your group. If we do see that you're maybe lagging behind, we may reach out to you, or if you're struggling with anything, please reach out to us. As it says there, we want you to succeed. So if you think you're asking too many questions, you're not. Get as much help as you want from us as you need. You can reach out to Nikki and I for general programming questions, the TAs for curriculum questions, and then at least like if you want to get really specific. But you should reach out to your TAs first. And speaking of TAs, Jean and Stephanie will be available starting Monday, June 14th. So this first week, really try to get yourself familiar with Codio and the materials and start maybe building your questions if you're encountering them. They will be available next week. We're going to send you their office hours next week and their contact information next week. And Nikki, you want to take it from here?
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay? Sometimes I have some audio issues, so just want to double check. And to go off of that about the teaching assistants, they will also have their own dedicated Slack channel where you can message them directly. And I think most everyone, it seems, already has a pretty good handle on Slack. Many of you have already joined the channels. We saw some chats going back and forth before the orientation began. But just to kind of go into the different channels that we have a general Slack channel for just regular program announcements. And then we also have one called the Tech Developer, and that's for communicating with your peers, chatting about anything you'd like, whether it's related to the curriculum or if you guys just want to have a casual chat, that's totally fine. And then also, like I said, the TA student help channel, that will be where Jean and Stephanie will be able to answer questions, whether it's to the group or whether you want to talk to them privately. So feel free to use that one as well. And then I know we've gotten some questions about what the virtual residency is going to look like. We will be going into a more detailed explanation of this and expectations for the residency portion when it actually begins on June 28th. But just to give you all an idea of what it's going to look like, so you know, it will be Monday through Friday. There will be 3 learning blocks throughout the day, 45 minutes each, followed by, 45 minutes of instructional sessions where an instructor will be leading more of like a lecture type style. And then 75 minutes following that, students will actually be applying what they were taught during the instructional session, and TAs will be available to assist. And then we also have some scheduled breaks in there as well. We know what it's like to be doing a virtual program. You might need to take some time, go for a walk. And then you'll also be able to take an extended break during the learning block if you'd like as well. But as Samantha said before, we want to make sure everyone is on track during the week. And if you're in Eastern time, the day will begin at 11 a.m. and wrap around 6 p.m. And if Pacific time, 8 a.m. and we'll wrap around 3 p.m. And also instructors will have office hours during the week as well as TAs.
yeah, so at this time, we want to see if anybody has any questions about the program, what to expect.
Yeah,
So
Sam.
yes.
And just gonna make two notes for people. One is that there'll be an additional 8 additional TAs, or actually 7 additional TAs working with this group, in addition to Jean and Stephanie, once we get into the residential part. So there'll be plenty of support there and available to you folks. And obviously you have each other, which all this around the Slack channel comments relate to. Something that I'll tell you, a comment that was made by a guy who was the chief of software engineers for Uber based in New York. And this is a gentleman who said to me, he had interviewed thousands of software engineers and hired hundreds. And he said to me, he said, if students only do what they're required for the computer science classes, they'll never be competitive. So while your day ends from, on the West Coast, it goes from 8 to approximately 2, and the East Coast 11 to 5-ish, and so on, understand if you want to be a master of your craft, right, which is what you want to be, it seems to me, you're looking for excellence, right? You want to be in the top 5%, right? It's like Malcolm Gladwell's book, you got to put the 10,000 hours in of sorts, but you got to put the time in, right? What our folks typically lack is the experience with the coding. And so we were really shocked. I mean, I was, or not people who've been around, as Elise kind of alluded to, people take lots of computer science classes, but don't do much coding in them. And so this is where the guy's comment was saying, if they only do what you're asked to do, you're not going to be competitive. So we need, when we envision here, and of course, when it was going to be residential and, before you were all going to get COVID together or something, which we thought wouldn't make you too useful to each other, in the evenings, be coding, work on some stuff, come up with your own projects, get involved in open source things. What you simply need is where it becomes second nature, and that you can only do by practice. So while the day ends at that time, depending on PST or EST, daylight savings time, you got to go at this like you're trying to be a great saxophonist, right? You got to play, right? So anyway, those are my thoughts I wanted to share with you before you ask all your good questions or whatever. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Julian. So yeah, if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself. You can just talk or ask in the chat like some people are doing already. Anyone? Questions?
There's a couple in the chat. What do you think about addressing those maybe?
Yeah. Somebody raised their hand.
Okay. Yeah, so the pre-work was meant to be like individual and group work. So I was just gonna ask, like, is the group work like the entire group, or are we gonna be broken down into smaller groups?
I think it'd be more interesting the entire, but it sounds like it would be chaos. No, yes.
Yeah, so for the pre-work, it is individual, but when we are in the virtual residency, you will be broken down in groups, in small groups of 4.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I think someone asked if there's a conflict on certain days, who do you reach out to?
Please reach out to either myself or Nikki. And yeah, so if
you can also add the SEO tech developer email, which all of you should have too. One of those 3 ways we will get it.
So Elise, this one is for you. Elise, there's a question for you. We'll be given a syllabus of topics we will be learning. Yes. Okay.
Sure. So let me go ahead and answer just what you'll be learning, so it's not a mystery, because it's the first assignment on this residency course that I haven't given you yet. But basically, the program is targeting documented skills gaps between what you're going to learn in your undergraduate computer science course and what industry wants you to know walking in on day 1. So some examples of this would be version control, aka Git and GitHub, testing, everything from unit testing through integration and systems testing, how to work within style guides, a little bit around databases, project planning, hosting and deploying code, some more nitty-gritty programming skills like error handling, memory performance considerations, how do you do code reviews, how do you document the code you've written. So it shouldn't feel too much like something you have learned before, but you're still going to need your programming skills, your data structures to actually complete the projects where you're practicing these skills. And yes, the very first assignment, that's a good thought. Maybe I'll move it into the pre-work course so you can see it, but goes through kind of the overview of that.
So Lisa, is the question, are we going to have a big project at the end?
Yes, and you're going to have some projects before that, so you can practice having projects. So the summer residency piece, the 6 weeks, is actually broken into 3 different themes that are 2 weeks each. Every theme, the first one, for example, is data science, will have some instructional content primarily in that first week of the theme. And then in the second week, it's a lot more open-ended. You'll be working with a group, starting with 2 people together, then 3, then 4. So you can practice working together, managing a really big project and splitting it into pieces, figuring out how do you push things and merge things on GitHub, which can be a little scary once you start getting into larger groups. But at the very, very end, yes, we'll have plenty of time over a week for you to work on your project, and then you'll get to actually pitch and present your final projects. And hopefully they're really compelling and will leave you with a nice little portfolio to get started or to add to your current portfolio. And sorry, I'm going to go ahead and answer the next one because it's also related. Which programming language will be most used? We're going to be in Python for the vast majority of the content. It's a really interesting language in terms of you can go between OOP and scripting, and there's some really great libraries across different applications. It's a little easier to pick up than Java and C++, and the 3 most taught courses in CS undergrad programs are Java, C++, and Python. If you do not know Python, the pre-work is an excellent time for you to start learning and picking it up. It's a lot less heavily typed than Java and C++, so I think you'll find it actually easier, not just because you already know programming, but in terms of the syntax, it's a lot more forgiving.
By the way, folks, one of the things we're doing, and we'll ask you to most of you folks have heard of HackerRank, presumably. Okay, so we're somebody who's missing, and I guess if he wasn't able to be here, but he's really been an important part of this project. A gentleman named Aaron Clark, who I guess maybe none of you, I don't know if you've met or not. So Aaron, he's a developer himself. He's kind of the founder of something called Equity Solutions, but he's really been, he's the programmer out there, working for a living, doing it, 20+ year career at this point. And he's been really helpful to us in looking at, what do people really want to see on the job and how people look at these things. So, but one of the things we're doing is if any of you likely took any education classes, which I'm going to guess might be not the case, but anyway, there's something called formative assessments. So it's education language, and it really kind of means like measuring as we go along. And what we're trying to find out, inputs to outputs with this, right? So you guys are a little bit, you're not quite guinea pigs, but you're the test group, like you're going to space. You're the test group. Okay, so we're going to give you 3 kind of curated, custom crafted HackerRank instances during the kind of weeks of the program. Because what we want to see is looking at where an individual is, right? Here's the intervention, right? And then, okay, where are they 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, 5 weeks later, 6 weeks later, right? And so, this is really, it's got no evaluative purposes outside of us looking at inputs to outputs, right? It's really not about nothing personal, you the individual. I know, your mother wouldn't likely want us to say that, but it's really just about, again, what's the inputs to the outputs. We need to figure out for next year, what are the right inputs? How much of them, right? How far can we help a student advance, right? In this particular concentrated number of hours that we're using. So we know a lot of people were not too crazily fond of the Codio part, but thank God for you guys diving in nevertheless. So we're going to come back to these. Going to be very much crafted though, related to what you'll be learning, so we can just see, is the teaching any good, right? Is it working, right? That's our way of being able to measure us, right? Because it's about, you have the talent, you have the ability. The question is whether we're giving you the right stuff in the right doses in the right way, right, to let you flower. I mean, the average GPA of the group actually is like a 3.56, people taking a bunch of courses. So we know you're talented, hardworking individuals, Granted, you could have a 2.6 and be a great programmer also. You just may not like English. We learned, people point out, say, hey, maybe they don't care about English. Okay, but anyway, you guys are a smart group. We need to see inputs to outputs. So it'll be kind of critical. We'll get you these things. I think it won't take more than like an hour to do. It's just helping us understand where did you start on the topic, and how much should we help you get to understand as an individual, not so much, by your life, but, but you as name so-and-so, but just how effective is the program? It's testing, right? Testing ourselves. So that you'll encounter too. Sam, think there's any kind of other big, fat, juicy piece that we're leaving out of this? You guys have any comments, anything you want to tell us? You'll be getting your money. We got to sort it all out. Sam and Elise been working on the back end, with our finance team, and you've been filling stuff out and, making sure that IRS is not going to chase after you the rest of your life. So we're, having to deal with all those kind of things. Someone's asked, will groups be assigned? Will groups
we will be assigning?
No, I understand. By the way, I know generation, they say, look, attention to detail, but I know when you're coding, you got to actually, because you type we instead of be, and I get it, then the program doesn't work, but I'm just noting. So I got it though. What did you say, Sam? Did you?
I just said groups will be assigned.
Yes. Yeah. We are going to do the I Ching. We will roll, stones and so we'll likely have people with, various existing skill levels, because we want you to learn from each other and teach each other, right? You have instructors, you have TAs, but look, we all learn from each other equally. So we're counting on that as well. Would be getting laptop assistance money for those of us? Yes, I think we're already working on that. If you need an advance, we're working on those to get your laptop. So we want you to have the tools you need. If you need like a Wi-Fi hotspot, Wi-Fi kind of thing, let us know. We'll get that for you as well. Look, at least somebody already wants to know, when is the bar chart race to do? They're talking tonight. So they're already on. At least that's you.
Each of these projects is supposed to take you about a week. So there isn't like a date I'm going to close it on you. It's just, if you want to keep pace, I would say Sunday night / sometime Monday.
At least I was thinking they want to get it done sooner than that.
I mean, it's a cool project. I hope you want to get it done sooner than that. But
well, this guy from Uber, by the way, this may not be you, he said, they tend to be night owls. I'm like, really? So he said, yeah, because they, start at 8 o'clock at night. Next thing you know, it's 4 a.m. because they enjoyed it so much. So if you want to get great. So yes, I'm sure that's why they were asking, not because they were, they're going to get in early so they can work on something else. What else do you have for them? SEO key, SEO principle. Do you work better, faster, and ask for more? There's these SEO principles we're going to share with you maybe at the end. They're amazing principles for how to be successful, in your job and career. And I think, Jean, you may remember them, the SEO principles. Yeah, first in, last out, better, faster, ask for more. Not everybody can help you, but everybody can hurt you. So treat everyone with respect, right? All those kind of things, right? So they're, anyway, you're going to prove the point. So we need to prove that there's a bunch of hungry, ready people. And if people just invest in them, they will take advantage. They will capitalize on it. But society is not invested adequately, as we know, and sometimes in communities of color. Actually, throughout. So anyway.
So I think that's all the questions we've seen so far. It doesn't look like there's any new ones, unless anybody is typing. Again, you can turn off your mic, unmute yourself to ask questions. No, okay.
Been good.
Wait, oh, okay. So yeah, if you have any other questions, you can email the SEO tech developer at seo-usa.org email. Or again, we have the Slack, so feel free to use that. And let us know.
But by the way, I just noticed, I just went to my second screen, like Tersis, AJ, Anthony, Isaac, Alex, et cetera, we really expect you to have your camera on. Now, obviously, you got some special circumstances. Just let people know, because we understand things like that can happen also. But there's more love. There's more love. We see you. There's more love, right? Right? Because we're all here together. It's the family. So
yeah, we didn't mention it for this orientation since it is for the pre-work, but expect when we have future meetings to have your camera on. And if for some reason you have any circumstances where you don't feel comfortable, again, reach out to Nikki or myself.
See, like my hair is always done, okay? There you go. But I'm not wishing that on you. Take your time. You may get there. But anyway, so yeah, that's all good. So thank you.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we were to miss a day sometime in July, will we have to make up for it another day or something? Or how does that exactly work?
So if you miss a day of instruction, we will be recording them. So that's fine. Again, you should let us know ahead of time, unless of course it's the morning of and you're sick. But let us know with as much time as you can, and we'll get those recordings out to you so you can pick up where you left off.
Now, by the way, I'm going to next time, and I didn't see who asked, but the next way, you might want to rephrase that, say, how do I make up what I missed? There you go. There you go. Hey, you got to go in there, and we're going to make all of you, you're all going to be great. That's what we want. We want where the Googles and the others of the world go, we didn't know we were missing, right? We know what they're missing, but now we're going to, so because you open the doors by busting this thing out, taking care of business, right? That's the people who come after. That's how SEO kind of is, had 800 interns because the first 11, delivered, and then it led to 20 and 40 and et cetera, et cetera. So it really is, it's the SEO thing. We can count on you and you can count on us.
Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, I have a question. How does that interview prep part of the tech developer, how is it going to look like?
The interview prep, that's going to be coming after in the fall session, after the virtual residency. We are going to be working with some partners to get you the mock interview practice and making sure that you have enough practice of questions and what to expect during these interviews. So that'll also be part-time, because by that point you'll be back in school. So just expecting you to do a few hours of that each week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me see. If there's no other questions, I think we're gonna wrap up for today.
There's one more. Are recordings available for all of us to review and study? Was in the chat somewhere.
Yes, we can make everything recorded, all the instructional recordings available.
Yeah, by the way, Veronica, great question. She says she wanted to know if we're able to study and review, okay? So she's trying to take care of business. There we go. Great question. So, all right. Hey, folks, we're very excited to have you with us. We're going to have a lot of fun. You're going to be like coding and all that stuff and doing wonderful things. So we're going to get you hooked up.
Yep, that'd be great. All right, everyone. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. get started on that materials now that you're all signed up for everything, and we'll be chatting soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Good.